with Luke at Tafra Place in Wombeyan Caves, and just going to talk a bit about his regenerative farm. So, Luke, tell us a bit about yourself and what you produce on your farm.
Bit about myself. So I'm an electrician from Sydney originally. Did my trade with Otis Elevators, and through a series of events that happened to my old man, I stopped doing that and sort of internally had a little bit of a look at my life and what I was eating initially. It all started, and very, very long story short, but that sort of snowballed into it's very hard to find good food. Where are we going to find good food? My second son's got a lot of special needs, so we were looking into GAPS diets and things like that for him. And I decided that potentially maybe the best way to get hold of this food is to do it myself. So let's say how that's all sort of started. What do we do here? So we're a multi-speciated regen farm. So what we're trying to do is replicate nature and generate ecology, but using modern methodology. So we run chickens, ducks, pigs, sheep, cattle, and we do it all without any chemical or pharmaceutical inputs. We have a vertically integrated system, which means that we complete the entire the whole chain ourselves. So we're doing all the birthing, all the growing, all the logistics, and all the retail. Typically, we do have a few people that help us out, namely Game Farm Australia, but we're doing most of it ourselves. So it's a vertically integrated production model.
What's the biggest hurdle that you overcame?
Well, the biggest hurdle I probably had to overcome was anyone can grow a chicken or a duck. It's not that complicated. You will make mistakes, but you'll work it out. But with a smaller production company, you need to get a premium for that product. So selling it is the hardest thing. So the biggest hurdle is finding a market for your product and being able to make a profit on a small scale.
Why regenerative farming, and what makes regenerative farming special?
Well, regenerative farming, I'm kind of trying not to use that term too much. We have a lot of trigger words or trendy words in our industry. You know, you've only got to go back 10 years and it was free range or it was pastured, so I try not to support it, sort of put a label on it like that, because regen farming has so many different methods. There's so many different hats. I have a version of it, but then there are other people that are transitioning into regen, and they're still spraying glyphosate or they're still using tillage, but they're doing their absolute best to use regen methodology. What makes it special is that it's actually improving the ecology. So instead of traditional agricultural methods are essentially withdrawing from the bank, withdrawing fertility from the soil, taking carbon and releasing it into the ecology and things like that, regen farming is doing the opposite, especially in my case. So what I say is, as a byproduct of growing about 8.5 tons worth of completely chemical-free produce every single week, the byproduct of that is actually sequestering carbon, increasing organic matter, building topsoil, improving water infiltration. So it's a net positive to the ecology.
Do you have a favourite animal or animals that you deal with, and what makes them endearing to you?
100%. I'm very candid in admitting that the pigs are my favourite. There's a few reasons for that. I think we have probably the best farmers in the world in this country, and they are the world's greatest people. I have the pleasure of calling a lot of them my friends. But if there's a scab or if there's an embarrassing part of Australian agriculture, it's the way that we're still treating pigs. I think the penny's dropped on, battery farmed eggs. No one eats caged eggs anymore. But a lot of people would be surprised to hear that 99% of the pork that we eat in Australia is either imported or is factory farmed. And I mean, we're standing here next to my pool. If you turned up here this morning and there was a bottlenose dolphin flapping around in that pool, you'd be questioning me as a person, wouldn't you? Right? So you've got to remember that a pig has the same IQ as a bottlenose dolphin, probably higher. And routinely, that's what we do. We imprison them, unfortunately, in this country. So that's the first thing. I think it's a really important role I've got to prove that you can grow these animals outside very, without any health issues or without losing huge amounts of growth or feed conversion, which is obviously what the industry is looking at. It is a business at the end of the day. But then also they're an animal where, if you look into a pig's eyes, and I'll show you this, they look back at you. There's something there. Sheep, God love them. I love eating lamb, but there's not a lot going on there. I tell you, they're an empty vessel. And I love the ducks and everything else, but I feel like you really do get something back from the pigs.
You are what you eat. What do you feed your animals? GMO corn?
No, so it is difficult in Australia, admittedly. Part of the whole regen or the whole holistic management or whatever you want to call it is we say to people, just do your best. If the best you can get, unfortunately, is still genetically modified grains or whatever, do your best. That's, we can only do our best. But we're lucky that we've been able to source completely non-GMO feed. Obviously, there's no medication in our feed, because a lot of people would be surprised to hear that most feed mills are putting things like antibiotics and worming agents just in the mix of the ruminant. So, of the monotrack animals. So we obviously don't feed our sheep or our cattle. They eat grass. They're completely grass fed and finished. And this place has got a 22-year history spray free. So we've sort of got that dialed in. But the feed that we do import, we unfortunately can't afford to, and there is absolutely no viability in buying organic feed. It is literally twice the price. So we get a completely non-GMO, non-medicated grain ration.
So this is the section where I call it Pearls of Wisdom, born by experience. What are your top 3 tips to wannabe farmers like me?
So this is a question that I'm getting a little bit more pessimistic in my old age, only because this journey has been unbelievably hard, and only very recently have I credited myself with the fact that I am pretty unique, and the skill set that I came into this with was very, very unique. And we've been able to have success, and that's something I'm very proud of. But I really do look at young people now, looking at the price of land, and looking at also the land that's available and how far away from the population set. That's a big hurdle when you're getting into sort of wanting to market your own food but being 6 hours away from a city. That's a big challenge. So I think it definitely can be done. I'd love to see more internships, and I don't think Regen Ag should be a university course. That's not the place you learn to be a farmer. So I'd love to see more people that are in this space taking on young people and passing on their knowledge. That's something that we do here. But the 3 biggest pieces of advice would be, get on farms. You're young. You want to travel around and meet people anyway. Get on as many farms as you can. That's the way you're going to learn this. You're not going to learn this in a classroom. Farming is high level problem solving. That's all it is. That's all we do here. So get on farm and get experience. That's the way you're going to learn this. You're going to need to be able to communicate very, very effectively. Very effectively. I would say marketing or sales, but that's all rubbish. It's just communication. When you've got a wonderful, wonderful product that you honestly believe in and you're passionate in, it's not a sales pitch, but you need to be able to shirt front chefs. And some chefs will only give you 30 seconds. And you need to be able to have the confidence to get your message across and talk them into the fact that your product is unique, and sell your own product. So the second bit of advice would be an orator, be confident and gain confidence. I don't know whether that means you do public speaking or how you gain that, but that's something that's very, very important. And the third thing I would say is that farmers are the most resilient human beings on earth. Farming is about the highest of euphoric highs and the lowest of soul-crushing lows. That's this industry. You're in an industry that is dictated to by nature, which is really unfair, right? So you could be the world's greatest farmer and still have a shocking year, or lose all your stock, or every fence gets burnt down, which is what happened to me a few months ago. So you need to be an incredibly resilient person, so you need to build that resilience as well. So they're probably the 3 main things for me.
Do you see yourself doing this for the rest of your life?
Definitely. I have my own theories on the word retirement. I'm a son of a baby boomer, and all uncles and aunties of mine are baby boomers, and and I joke with them only because they are wonderful friends of mine and we get along very, very well, that retirement for that generation just means stop working and slowly dying. I see it all too often, these people that are just incredible people with very, very, wonderful, wonderful careers, very intelligent people. They retire and then just stop doing anything, and cognitively they just dissolve, which is really heartbreaking. So definitely I can see myself, obviously my plan is for one of my boys to take this over, so I can always be involved and help them. That is my plan, but if that doesn't happen, I'll be finding some way, shape or form of being involved. I absolutely love it. It's like waking up on Christmas Day for me. My role has changed a little bit. I'm probably not on the ground as much as I'd like to be, but I still get to, roll around in the dirt often enough. So, I would love to be doing this for the rest of my life, yeah.
Would you recommend farming for others?
I recommend farming for the people that have got the gumption and the resilience to do it. I, being completely candid and honest, come across a lot of people where they drive off my driveway, and I hope to God that they don't actually attempt this, because I don't feel that. I think this is a very, very unique skill set, and that farmers don't get enough credit. These are the most amazing, most resilient people on this earth. We should be kissing the ground they walk on. Unfortunately, that's not sort of the trend in this country, but I hope there's a future where we have more farmers. We definitely need more farmers, but I'm not sure if the generation of children coming through at the moment are being brought up with a level of resilience potentially that's required. Again, that's a pessimistic mind, but I hope so. I'm doing my absolute best. We've got intern programs here and trainees and all sorts of stuff. I'm doing my best to train young people, so hopefully.
People want to support your farmers like you. How can they buy from you? Do you sell in markets directly or online?
So more broadly, with the advent of the internet, I don't care where you are in Australia, you can find a really good producer. And we're all very, most people deliver or have means to get these things to you. So, if you're in Sydney, Canberra, Goulburn, South Coast, sure, look up Integrity Meats is our butcher shop, and we deliver to all those areas, and we'd love to have you patronise our business. But if you're outside those areas, get on Google. There's plenty of incredible farmers, and that's the way we're going to actually change this industry. It's all consumer driven. It doesn't matter how many wonderful regen farmers we have put our hand up and say, I want to do this, I want to do that. It all means nothing until you actually get the consumer on board. So very important. Try and find a regen farmer. Don't try and go from buying all your food from 7-Eleven to wanting to be Mr. Organic, and small steps, baby steps. That's the way we're going to have longevity with these new customers. But find a regen farmer and contact them, and I'm sure there's a way of making it happen.
Okay, sweet. Well, thank you for taking your time and answering these questions.